Welcome back to Her Shift, my life about surviving PMDD, trauma healing, and women's wellness stories. If any of that applies to you, or you're just curious, or you're a woman, no woman, or are of that disposition, you might be in the right place. Let me just take my glasses off. A little bit late with this episode, only a few hours. Please forgive me. It's been another one of those weeks. Before we get into this episode, which is going to be about my teeth, about my pearly whites, about my braces, and you're thinking, how on earth does that relate to the subject of this podcast? I want to ask you a massive favour. And sales psychology says that if I ask a favour of you, I am more likely to have that favour done. I don't make money on this. I'm doing this from the goodness of my heart. No, I'm doing it because this is something that matters to me. It's been a plight for a long time. I'm finding doing the podcast, doing Her Shift, doing the content, it has been really cathartic for me. And I always thought if I can just help one person or make someone feel less alone, then it was always going to be worth it. And it is. However, I want to grow Her Shift. I want to reach other people. I want to really grow this space. And I really, therefore, want to spread the podcast far and wide. So if you could be so kind as just to rate, review, subscribe, share this episode or any episode that you think is relevant with anyone that you think will help. You honestly, you will not understand that the power of that, the favour you will do me, because that's how the algorithms work. That's how it pushes it. So please, if you could just take a second and please give me a 5-star review. You don't even have to write anything, but if you could, that would be great. Please do a girl a favour. Spread the word of Her Shift. Anyway, let's get back into this episode. I'm thinking, why am I going to talk about my braces journey, my teeth? Well, I thought for 2 reasons. First of all, I think it's actually quite interesting if, I think most of us have teeth. Might have considered cosmetic dentistry, might have issues or hang-ups with our teeth, might have backstories. It might be linked to, our mental health, our upbringing, things like that. And, want to hear from someone who's had work done throughout their life, but also having fixed metal braces as an adult. And I can tell you the pros, the cons, what it's been like for me, my journey, and help you make informed choices. I will tell you the things that I didn't know about. I will tell you, what have I written there? Things no one tells you about getting such things done. I'm going to talk to you about my view on turkey teeth, veneers, all of that sort of thing. How this links into Her Shift is I'm very big in the space about self-care, because we as women, we spend all our time looking after other people. And I always say that we would never treat other people the way we treat ourselves most of the time. Like the way we treat ourselves is abhorrent, isn't it? The way we speak to ourselves in our head. And, there's no way that if, like, say, I've got 2 kids, and if they were, having dental problems, struggling with their teeth as children, I would be like, not going to bother. I'm not going to bother telling them to brush their teeth. I'm not going to take them to the dentist. I'm not going to get them braces if needed. You wouldn't do that, would you? You want them to have really good health. And yeah, it's not even something we'd even consider. But for some reason, the idea of big commitments and investments in ourselves, and having braces is it's a long-term commitment and it's a financial investment that can really send us spiraling. I think the biggest thing I've learned from treatments, surgery, anything like that, is that as soon as you go down the line of when I have this, I'll be happy. If I look like this, I'll be happy. If I lose weight, I'll be happy. If I put on weight, I'll be happy. If I have my boobs done, my nose done, forever, you are forever chasing something. If you view it as the same way that you look after yourself in other ways, so, daily shower, brushing our teeth, going to the gym, keeping healthy, eating certain foods, taking supplements. We don't do those things daily expecting an immediate result, but we know that level of maintenance is an ultimate form of self-care, and it will keep us at a certain level. If you know that, say, having some cosmetic surgery, so having your boobs done, it's not going to cure you, it's not going to fix you, you're not going to be not depressed, but you know that it's an investment and a form of care that will make you feel good about yourself. And if you view it like that, I am all for it. I think that as long as the problem happens, and I've seen this so much, obviously from working in the beauty industry, as soon as people see it as a goal, whatever that is, it's like, oh, I'll have one facial and I'll be fine. I'll have my boobs done, I'll be fine. I'll have hair extensions, I'll be good. No, no, no. If you view it as more something that will make me feel good about myself and represent who I am, there's nothing vain about that. And I would also question as well, whether it's your teeth or anything else you're considering having done, what is the reason you are having it done? It can be loads of reasons. However, if any of those reasons are for anyone else other than yourself, hold off. Hold off. That is my advice. I've got a few little stories on that side of things before. However, teeth, that's what I can talk to you about. So, if you are watching me on YouTube, and by the way, I am having a nightmare with YouTube. They have, what's the word, shadow banned me. I think I've been a bit naughty, like I've been promoting myself. Of course I've been promoting Her Shift. Anyway, if you can see this recording, as you can see, I have fixed metal braces. I am 44. I had them fitted to me when I was 42. At the time, they said they were going to be taking a year and a half maximum. We're now over 2 years. Okay. So, what led me to having fixed braces at the age of 42? So, I am from England and we obviously have the NHS, and we, as you know, you can have a lot of dental treatments done as a child for free. You can have subsidised dental treatments as an adult, but anything cosmetic as adult does cost money. Us Brits are known for having dodgy teeth. I'm not sure why. Maybe that's to do with the blue bloods of the royal family. I'm not sure. We are just a little bit behind our American cousins on the whole cosmetic dentistry thing. When I was growing up, I definitely had an overbite. Not massively obvious, but from a profile, this side of my family did lack a jaw, definitely. And I had overcrowding, which meant I had an extra set of teeth. And at the age of 10, I think it was like 9 or 10, I had to go into hospital and I had this entire set of teeth removed. So they actually cut into my gums, removed all these teeth, bagged them up, and the tooth fairy was very generous that week. It was very painful, and I think I was probably a week off school with that one. Were they really, did I have a horse mouth? Were they really goofy? No, they were quite small, my teeth, and I think I'd say the dentist, I had a horrible dentist, I'll say, as a kid, and he said they look like gravestones. And by that, they were small, they were quite jagged, and they were slightly skewed. They weren't like ridiculous. They weren't like, protruding out my mouth or anything like that, but not good. I had various operations as a kid to remove the overcrowding. I was then given a clip-on brace as a young teen, but I never really wore it because it massively affected my speech. I couldn't eat with it. And I remember there was so many, I really was so paranoid about it that I would take it off when I was eating, and I would often leave it on tables. And I remember when I was wearing it when we went to Florida when I was 14, and we were at a water park, and I took it out to eat my burger. I must have left it on the fast food tray, and then an hour later saying to my dad, I've left my brace in that restaurant again, and him coming with me like, don't tell your mum, and we went and we got it back. When I went to the dentist a few months later, I remember him ripping it out of my mouth in disgust, going, you're clearly not wearing it, what a waste of my time, and he chucked it in the bin. I could not handle the idea of having fitted metal braces. I was offered them as a teenager, but I was so insecure and so in that I was scared of being bullied. I didn't want to draw attention to myself. There weren't many kids, and this would have been in the 90s, with fixed metal braces. There were a few, and there were some, I would say, popular, confident girls with them, but not many. And now knowing what I know now about braces, I would not have been able to handle them as a teenager. But I just always thought they look so obvious. It's drawing attention to your mouth. I was so insecure. The idea that that's it, they're on. And to have them on for a year, never mind 2 years, as a teenager. Do you know how long that year would have lasted? We know that the years go quicker as we get older, right? It would have been a really long time. I was recently speaking to my best friend about it, and she said, nah, you'd not have been able to handle that as a teenager. Anyway, the years go by. Teeth are okay. Like I said, they're nothing to write home about. I didn't realise how bad my jaw was, or my lack of it. But like I said, there were people with a lot worse teeth than me. But I do notice, looking back, I never smiled with my mouth open. So that was obviously saying something. It was always mentioned to me, though, that by a parent, that when I reached a certain age, if I wanted to look at cosmetic dentistry, they would fund that for me. I didn't really know what that was. Obviously, we didn't have things like turkey teeth back then. So back when I would have been 25, so this would have been in 2006. I was working for the Australian airline, and we were flying to parts of Asia. I'd seen that a lot of celebrities had something called veneers. It weren't common. And in this country at the time, to have a full set of veneers in the UK was something like £30,000 plus. It was something that only celebrities had done. I didn't really understand it, but I thought that it would be like having a false nail fitted over my teeth. So a fake teeth fitting over my teeth. That's what I thought it was. And I loved the idea that it was pretty instant, that you didn't have to have braces or work done underneath or surgery. It was just an uncomfortable but pretty quick procedure, and that really appealed to me. Didn't research it, realised that where I was staying in Bangkok in Thailand, I could have a top or bottom set of teeth done for £1,000, and I thought, bargain, and I'll fit it in around work, so when we next fly to Bangkok, I'll have it done. And that is exactly what I did. I know. So I went to this beautiful dentist. It looked like Versace's palace, where they then whitened my whole mouth. So obviously they want to get them to a shade. So I was having my top teeth done, not my bottom teeth at this point. They then ground down my teeth. So I had sharp teeth. I didn't know that was going to happen. I remember going back to the hotel in between treatments with sharp teeth, no feeling in my mouth. I remember I tried to have a drink of water and it just fell out of my mouth because my whole mouth was obviously numb. And then looking in the mirror and I'm going, oh my God, that's it, my teeth. They're like, they can never go back now to what they were. I just was so naive. But I was also very excited, thinking they're going to be amazing. I went back the next evening. I had the top layer of porcelain veneers fitted. And I would have to say they were instantly probably 70% better than what they were. Suddenly I was like, wow. Now those veneers are currently what I have in now, and this is what, 18, 19 years later. Those top ones that I've got the braces on, those are veneers from Bangkok, and they have lasted all this time. One of them, so I've had 2 pregnancies since having those veneers fitted. And each time, as we know, when you're pregnant, it does cause a problem with your teeth, and they got a bit wobbly. And I had a crown fitted to one of them. So one is a crown. You have free dental work done when you're pregnant. One of the few benefits. But yeah, my bottom teeth, I thought they weren't too bad, compared to my top teeth. When we smile, we tend to see our top teeth. And yeah, carried on my merry way. I was really pleased. I was like, it was life-changing the way that I smiled suddenly. It gave me a lot more confidence. It really helped. I would say I carried myself a lot different from then. Of course, it was something I got used to. And didn't give it that much thought. I never thought about the long-term maintenance. I never thought what the state of my teeth looked like underneath. I never thought that, weirdly, that I'd ever have to have them changed or replaced. And but I'm going to be honest and say I didn't know you had to do that with boob jobs. I didn't know that you had to have the implants replaced every 15 years. I didn't know that. But anyway, I never liked my bottom teeth. They were very rigid, and they used to get quite stained, and they were quite jagged. And I would always like to wear my hair down, and didn't like to wear it up due to my lack of profile, due to my job. But I didn't realise, obviously, That was something I could do anything about. Of course, during all this time, I had my issues with depression, PMDD, marriage, divorce, kids, all this going on. And during lockdown in 2020 is when I started doing a lot more video content. I'd been really nervous before then about going on video, even though I worked in the beauty industry. But as with anything, the more you do it, the more easy it becomes. And it's weird, I'm suddenly saying that to you guys now, like going, oh, I'm suddenly aware that I'm speaking. Anyway, and I remember so when I first started doing content on TikTok in 2020, I was doing a lot of makeup videos. I was doing makeup videos for real life, no makeup, women over 40. And so more mature real life makeup. And they did really well. And you can still go and see them if you want to. They are actually on my Hair Shift channel. And then something happened that I didn't expect to happen, and a few of them blew up and went viral. And of course, with anything that is beauty related, anything where you are drawing attention to your face, while there was a lot of positive comments and people were gracious and kind and full of compliments, for every 100 positives, there was always one negative. And I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it because of where I was, how I viewed myself, my lack of confidence. And I remember there was one comment there were comments basically saying I had no right to preach this stuff, my opinion. I got said things about my looks, my voice was criticized. But the one that stood out, and I have screenshot this, and when I get my braces off, I will address this. I don't need to hear makeup advice. What was it? From some crooked tooth gummy bitch. Of course, this was a woman. It always is, isn't it? And I remember then just studying the videos and then for the first time really noticing my teeth. And it just made me realize that actually I'd always had this want to have my smile corrected, to have my teeth look different. But I hated myself so much that I'd felt guilty for even wanting that, for thinking that. At this point, I didn't like spending money on myself. Interestingly, as a makeup artist, I would have premium stuff in my kit, but my stuff in my own makeup bag would be from Superdrug because I just don't think I deserved it. I never bought myself jewelry. I rarely bought myself clothes. I tried to make my look as little maintenance as possible. I used to feel really bad about spending time or money on myself for making an effort, and to have this deep-rooted want just to have a better smile used to really make me feel guilty. I used to feel really, really bad. And I used to think it makes me vain, and the idea that I would go through cosmetic surgery, and especially after Thailand, I was like, well, I had that done before I had children. I had that done when I was in a certain job. I had this done because it was a bargain. I had this done because I didn't really think about it. And I should be grateful for what I had done. I don't need anything more done. And that says so much about how I felt about myself. But this comment suddenly opened up the whole idea of I want to look a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. I want to look in the mirror and go, that's how I feel on the inside. This is who I truly am. I want to have a voice. I want to speak. I want to be on camera. I want to do a podcast. So, not long after and it was obviously during a time when you had to wear masks, I remember I toddled off to the nearest cosmetic dentist near me. And they were lovely. They were really fabulous. But before I knew it, they'd scanned my whole mouth with a 3D scanner, pointed out everything that I would need to have done. And I thought they were just going to recommend, pricey veneers and have them replaced top and bottom. And the first thing they said to me was, we really recommend we're going to send you over to our partner over the road and we should see orthodontics. You should look at braces. And I went, hell no. No, no, no. I said, I'm not a teenager. I say, look, can't you I said, I want instant. I want to throw my credit card at this and you just to fix up my mouth. And I went, whatever we do is going to be so much better if you have your bite corrected, if your teeth straightened underneath. Then the work we do on top, with veneers is going to be minimal. You might not even need veneers on the bottom. It might just be some composite bonding. And looking back, I really appreciate their advice because they could have so easily gone, yeah, we'll just slap some expensive veneers on them. Like, no, we want this to be the best for you. If you could, invest a year, 18 months into, correcting your bite, having your teeth straightened, this would make such a difference for you. I'm like, mm-hmm. I just remember seeing the pictures and I was horrified as well. Like, of these scans are never going to be flattering, even on someone who's got perfect teeth. So I went away and I looked at the price as well. I was like, no, no. It's one of those things I just never got on board with it. And the crazy thing is, now looking back, that if I'd done it back then in 2020, it would have been done by now. But hindsight and all that. I then spoke to my friend and colleague who'd been to the same dentist, and this was a few years later, and she'd had fixed metal braces. And the crazy thing was that I'd never really noticed. I just thought she looked great and she had, lovely teeth. But then she showed me the before pictures. I also noticed that this glow up for her happened along with her going to the gym, losing a lot of weight, losing a husband, as in getting divorced, dressing a different way, doing her hair a different way. She's a makeup artist too, by the way. And it was just like, wow. It was one of those jigsaw pieces to her finding herself that I had never even noticed. It was like saying, I never noticed you had great teeth because it's just who I associate. It's just what I assume about you. And then she sent me the before pictures. I was like, dear God. And she's like, yeah. And she said that was one of the first things she did that really helped her, changed her mind shift, gave her so much more confidence. And with that confidence, she was able to make decisions about her life, as in she wasn't happy in her relationship, she wasn't happy in her career, etc. And I was like, wow, the compound effect in this is huge. And I think that's so important to remember in any form of our self-care. It's like, yeah, this one thing, it's not going to change you overnight. It's not going to fix you. It's not going to cure you. But the compound effect, if it gives you a little bit more of your identity back, a bit more self-worth, if it makes you feel good about yourself, and then you do other things and don't defend it either. Do not defend yourself here. And I love the fact that she was not defensive at all. She was like, and I hope she won't mind me saying, like, she has since had quite a few other procedures done. She looks fantastic. She's a different woman. And I just like, I'm not going to say, oh, I think she looks better like this or she looked better before, but I just know that she has this so much more confidence. And if that is what it has brought, she's not chasing something, she's just going, yeah, I think that would help me feel how I want to be. And I'm like, I am all for that. There was a point when I remember discussing with her when I was married. And there'll be some of you out there, I'm sure you've been in the same position where I've never had huge body hang-ups, but I've always had, definitely deep down, I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind looking like that. I wouldn't mind having this done. I mean, God, I'm in the beauty industry as well. Of course I'm going to see these things. Now, I've always been, I'd say, okay with my body, which is amazing considering how I was brought up. And it was the 90s. But boob jobs were a thing, I suppose, probably not when I was a teenager. But I'd say probably once I was in my 20s and onwards. And it's just not something I'd ever really felt like I wanted, but may be nice one day. And the one time I remember that I really considered it was when I was feeling really shit about myself. And my then husband made a comment that it's something he'd always wanted me to have. Now, looking back, I'm going, excuse me? Coming from you? Hello? And weirdly, and I'll just be totally honest about this, I actually thought he might love me a bit more. He might like me a bit more. He might treat me a bit better if I do this. And I wouldn't mind having bigger boobs. So I look back now and I'm horrified by my thought there. I didn't have it done, by the way. Something I might consider in the future, definitely. But yeah, the fact that I was actually, this might get me this from this person. Wow. Oh, red flags all over the shop. And the scary thing about that is, looking back, that he probably would have. It would have been a novelty, wouldn't it? I'd say for at least a few weeks or a few months. And then what? Then what? That's a whole different episode, isn't it? For about, partners and what love is and how we support each other. I know my lobster is happy for me to be happy. Is it what I want to do, how I feel about my body, what I want to wear. He's supportive. He has an opinion, but he just sees it as his job is to support me and for me to be happy and not make stupid comments like that. Oh, anyway, back to my teeth. So after speaking to my friend and seeing the results and seeing the compound effect and how it affected her confidence and the changes that had happened in her life as well through her having her glow up, becoming more herself. It's like it was always, she's the same person. She hasn't changed in that sense, but she has evolved. She has healed. She has become more secure. It's almost like whatever was there before of her soul has been amplified. And I love that. And while I'm on it as well, actually, I was thinking there was a time when I was having to justify all my decisions. So whether it was something I bought to wear, my jewelry, my nails, anything to do with my looks, anything superficial, because of the way I was brought up, I felt like a real need to justify it. And there was certainly a time when I remember I was hanging out with my closest girlfriends, and we're very different like that. But I love the fact we can come together and we are so real and we're so ourselves, but we look very different, we dress very different, we've got different political views. I think the thing that we share is this striving to be the best version of ourselves, to be good people, to be kind people, and to be non-judgmental. And to listen. Yeah, to listen and take on board other people's points of view. And that's what we have in common. And even though like we are so different, and I did feel there was a part of me that maybe felt a bit shameful that I'd had certain treatments done, that I'd had, I wear certain things, and that I was having my teeth fixed in such an obvious way. So with the full metal braces, I did spend a long time justifying it. And now I look back and go, why? Those are girls that I love with all my heart. And if anything, those should be the ones to go, not for me, but you crack on. Because that's how I would be. I feel it was just like I wanted to be accepted and I wanted to be loved, regardless of having metal put in my mouth, as silly as it seems. So, 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, I took the plunge and I went and had fixed metal braces put in. I did look at Invisalign. I know that's become really common because obviously you can take them out when needed, and also they're Invisalign, it's like they're not obvious. But here's the thing I didn't realise. You are only going to, if I'd went with Invisalign, I wouldn't have been able to have my bottom teeth done at all because there was too much work. Like some of my teeth on my bottom have actually done a complete 180 and I never even realised. If I'd had them done, I would have maybe got 60% of the results. But since we're going through thinking, if you're going to do this, if you're going to really invest in yourself, go for it. Have the full metal fixed braces. And then I thought, you know what, I should just own it. Why should I try to hide them? Why should I try to have them blended in? Shall I not wear lipstick for the next couple of years? You're wearing braces, you're wearing braces. Own it. Would you ever tease somebody? Would you ever if I saw a woman over a certain age wearing fixed metal braces, I would just think, good on you. Oh, not an easy decision. She cares. So I thought, yeah, I'm not gonna go for you can have like the fittings done in porcelain and you can have the metal done in, is it like a more less noticeable tone. But for me, I was like, you know what? I'm wearing them. I was an absolute fanny when I had them fitted. Mr. Lobster came with me to hold my hand. The procedure probably took 3 times longer than it needed be. I was really struggling. I was really uncomfortable. I also had a bit put under the top front teeth of my mouth, which then meant so I could no longer put my back teeth together. He took me for a KFC afterwards to cheer me up and I couldn't eat it. I was having to break off the chicken and chuck it to the back of my mouth to swallow it. And I was like, I can't do this. Now, my friend had warned me, she said it's going to be shit, maybe for a few weeks. For me personally, it was shit for probably the first 6 months and painful for at least the first year. My mouth, it seems, is very sensitive. And what they don't tell you about when you have fixed metal braces is it's going to rub. It's going to like give you a nice set lips, going to protrude them. It rubs. I was getting ulcers and sores. And as my bite was changing, as if my jaw was coming forward, because that's what the bit under my front teeth does. My jaw was clicking horrendously and starting to grind. At one point, I went and had Botox injected into my mouth because I was chewing, like constantly gripping my back teeth, and couldn't settle my jaw down. So that really helped. But I really struggled with it, and I had to cut the bits and all the metal elements in wax. That really helped. I had to take a lot of paracetamol. I got addicted to McDonald's milkshakes because they were so soothing. At first I thought, I'm going to lose weight. This is great because I can't eat. Which is stupid. And then I just discovered like ice cream. I was like, oh, there we go. So yeah, it was one of those things where I'm going, I don't know if I can do this. I'd say after a week, I was like, God, I'm just going to get on with it. After a few months, it just became the norm. But it has been very uncomfortable. It has been very painful. I have had a lot of sores, a lot of ulcers. One thing that's really got to me is that you're not supposed to, but I have to brush my teeth constantly because I just feel dirty. So if I eat anything to eat whatsoever, it just gets trapped in the metal. And I'm always getting my pointy nails and, trying to pick it out without anyone noticing it. I carry a toothpaste and brush in my handbag at all times. I just feel, oof. Has it affected intimacy, kissing, any of that? I have discovered online there seems to be a real kink for girls with braces. Maybe it's associated with youth. What is wrong with you? But on the whole, there's not been any issues there. I probably should have gone into OnlyFans at that point. Because there seems to be a real kink for braces. I would say for me, like it has affected kissing, making out, in that it just doesn't feel the same for me. He says he's absolutely fine with it, so he doesn't really notice. I feel the difference. I don't kiss the same, but that's going to make sense. But I love the fact that he's just not bothered by it. I think he thinks my prissy behaviour is probably quite cute. I'm an oversensitive little demon. I will add as well that obviously with cyclical living and anyone who suffers from PMDD, certain times of the month, our mouth is more sensitive than others. And I've had some interesting hell weeks when these braces fitted. That just means I have to take Bonjela. It's been a big thing. Really important. And I would literally just slather my mouth in Bonjela during Hell Week because it would be so inflamed and so flared up. So yeah, this is a long-term investment. And the result is not, I'll be okay and I'll be healed and my PMDD will go away once I get a perfect Hollywood smile. But every time I go for a checkup and for another appointment, I'm reminded, I'm like, no, this is me really investing in myself, in my self-care, because I care about myself. I want to look a certain way. I want to tell the world that I matter. I want to step into my true self. And also the fact that maybe this happens when you're over 40, I'm not sure. Like, I really don't give a shit. As in, there must be the odd person go, oh, braces. Go, yeah. But maybe there's like that self-awareness or they just want to ask questions about it. But it isn't that common, I guess, with women of a certain age. But I'm thinking if I can go over 2 years with all this metal in my mouth and I really don't give a shit. And yes, I've been, I started a podcast. I do have, it's not as obvious, but I do have a little bit of a lisp. And I'm sure you can hear that. It affects, it affects the way I speak. And it'll be interesting and strange, I guess, when I have these taken off. I have made a few decisions. So when I do have these taken off, it'll basically like the structure will have changed. All the underwork will be done. I will then have to have my top veneers replaced. And I know at that point people are going, oh, you've gone through all that work and now you're going to have veneers. I have to, because my top teeth with braces on, they're not real, they're veneers. I have shark teeth underneath these, okay? It's done, I cannot go back. And I'm amazed they lasted that long. I am thinking, I bet when they take these off, they might just come away anyway, but so I will have them replaced. I was thinking, oh, maybe I should go abroad to have it done, but now I'm like, what am I thinking? No, come on, stick with the UK, suck it up, get it done. The bottom teeth, that has been the biggest thing. I never realised the difference it's made. So like I said, some of my teeth have done a 180. When I speak, you can not see them as much because they've moved down. Having the bit element under my front teeth has moved my entire jaw, and I am going to do a social media post where it shows my jaw. I can't do it before and after as such, but I can move my jaw into the position it was before I had the bit, and you'll go, oh my god, you had no jaw and now you've got a jaw. It seems it comes from the men's side in my family, and what do the men do in my family? They grow a beard. I can't do that, so I've had my jaw completely yeah. I've also noticed by having the bit under my front teeth that it's like I've constantly been biting down on it, and now constantly I now have muscles along my jaw. I can actually feel them, and I know you can get, is it like a bite trainer where you actually bite into it daily, so like you do maybe like 100 bites and it gives you muscles on your jaw. I'm going to do that. Big recommendation. Now, another thing that I would recommend that people say like I've had a facelift. I honestly haven't. It's changed the position of my mouth, my jaw, my cheekbones for that reason. It's like having a facelift, but really what I've been doing is I've had quite a bit of metal in my mouth. I've had a bit placed, and I've got muscle built up on my jaw, and I've also been using a gausher. I am going to do a post on that, how I use a gausher every day. It's a Japanese beauty tool, and it's about a lymphatic drainage and contouring, and I've been using that on my jaw and my cheekbones, and I've been doing that consistently every day now for 9 months. I do look different. I can appreciate that. See, still giving these secrets away. So those are benefits that I never even thought would happen from having fixed braces, that it's completely changed my face shape, but it's also completely changed my outlook, how I view myself. Because it's been such a long journey, it's then made me think I'm the sort of person that did that. I'm the sort of person that would go through that. The compound effect has been huge. I know that if I can speak on camera and if I can do a podcast with all this in my mouth, imagine what I'm going to be like when that's taken out. And no, I won't be searching and chasing for the next big thing. I'm just going to consider that the things I choose to have done, the treatments, if I have surgery done, the investment, the self-care in myself, it's going to be viewed no differently to having regular facials or massages, things that make me feel good about myself. Because when I feel good about myself, I'm a much better version of myself. And isn't that someone everyone wants to have around them? A better version of who we are. I want to look after myself. I want to look after my mental health. I want to look after my body. Hopefully it's going to be with me for many years to come. And we don't look after our bodies due to being a martyr or whatever. What's that going to make? I'm 44 now. I don't feel like I'm in my 40s. I know that when my parents were in their 40s, they were considered old. They look very different to me. I've still got my hair long. I still wear what I want to wear. I still have a look, an idea. I still want to, show up a certain way. And if doing these things give me more confidence, a better outlook, and then help me to develop my platform to help other people, it's just a compound effect that goes on and on and on. Maybe it's even infinite. So again, that is my braces journey. That is where I am with my teeth. Those are the reasons I had it done. Cost wise, so to have my metal braces done, so over the 2 years, and I was able to pay for it monthly, basically on tick as I went, it was about £3,800. Thank you, Mr. And yeah, I mean, certainly not cheap. I think if you view it though again as spread out over 2 years, and I guess the compound effect it has, what we attach value to, isn't it? And of course, if it was my friend or it was my children or it was my partner, I'd be like, of course, go get it done. Go get it done. So yeah, probably the cost of a really nice holiday. If anyone wants to message me and ask me questions about where I had it done, any recommendations, things to consider about, pros, cons, Invisalign, fixed braces, Obviously, I'm not a dentist or a medical professional, but I can just tell you from my own experience, and I'd be happy to help and share with you if you want to see my before pictures. Oof, my 3D scans. Message me, I can show you. Let me know. And if you just want to talk about your mental health and how self-care affects that and things that you are considering doing or would like to have done, or how you view yourself, but you feel that you don't deserve it, or have the insecurities like me and have stuffed those desires and wants down for many years, please get in touch. I would love to hear from you. So I hope that lands with you. I hope you find that helpful. Or just interesting, you know. If you're out there with a perfect Hollywood smile, you queen. But hopefully you would find that, yeah. Hopefully, yeah. I don't know what else to gain from that other than how important self-care is. It really, really is. I can't emphasize that enough, and I know that is a real relationship we have with ourselves, isn't it? Over how we see ourselves, how we treat ourselves, how we speak to ourselves. Self-care shows up all the time in everyday acts. Please, please be good to yourselves. Again, can I ask you a favour? I would love it if you liked, followed, subscribe, get my downloads up, get this platform shared as much as possible. If there's any topics you'd like to discuss in the future, please let me know. If there's people you'd like me to speak to and have on as guests, please let me know. I do have links to freebies and helpful information in the show notes. There is a free PMDD survival kit. There is my shift list. I'm massively into non-fiction. I have a Patreon account, which is Battlefield Red, the Hormone Wars, and I have a free Facebook group, which I would love to invite you to. All is welcome. It's a very small group right now, and I would love to grow it. I've just always wanted to have my own not my own platform, my own group where we can just be raw and real and say what we mean and don't have to be so ladylike and all lavender. Another thing that's happening very soon, if you're in the Northeast, we are having another PMDD Support Hub meetup. That is at September the 22nd at the Metropolitan House in Gateshead, and that is at 7 o'clock. Free to attend, all welcome, very relaxed, very informal. We might have a speaker, I'm sure we will. And that is something that I want to grow in the Northeast. So eventually it will be throughout the UK and internationally. And that is in association with IMPD, which is the International Association of Premenstrual Dysphoric Disorders, I think, or issue. Yeah. Anyway, look it up. That is in the show notes. That is in the Facebook group, and it is on my webpage. I will go. I hope you have a lovely week. Please, please, please look after yourselves. Please be kinder to yourselves. Give yourself the grace you deserve. Please remember that you are doing amazing. You are stronger than you think. Please keep going. And as always, sending all my love.